Hey folks, Eric here to talk a little bit more about F. Paul Wilson's Secret History of the World, and today we're talking about, whew, I'm going to have to read the title before I show you the cover, The Peabody Ozymandias Traveling Circus and Oddity Emporium by F. Paul Wilson, of course. And this particular copy, I don't know who published this particular copy, but there you go. This is part of the Secret History of the World. And first part of this video, a review of the book, and then I'll get into how it ties in with the Secret History of the World. There will be some spoilers possibly in that section. So, excuse me just a moment. I have a dry throat. So, in this book, we first of all, there's a foreword by F. Paul Wilson where he sort of explains the genesis of this book, which was he was tasked to edit an anthology. He decided to make his theme freak shows, and he used this stuff as sort of the introduction, the bookends, plus interstitials between all the different authors' stories. All their stories are supposed to take place with the Peabody Ozymandias Traveling Circus and Oddity Emporium. So all the stories would have sort of that connection, and F. Paul Wilson wrote this interstitial stuff to keep it all connected, and then that quickly went out of print, I think he said, but he decided at some point that someone wanted a book, so he decided to take all of that interstitial and bookendy stuff from this anthology, which was called, let's see, what was the name of it? You know, I can't even find it. Freak Show. There you go. Simple enough. It was called Freak Show. And so he took it, reworked it, put it all together into this novella. And so in this novella, we are following the Peabody Ozymandias Traveling Circus and Oddity Emporium as they are touring the country. And we actually start with Ozymandias talking Peabody into letting Ozymandias, he and his freak show join the Peabody Circus. And then we learn, essentially, Ozymandias gathers his, I'm going to keep using the word freaks because that's the word that's used in the book. He gathers his people together and he tells them that they are, as they're traveling the country, they're going to be looking for pieces of a device, kind of like a scavenger hunt. Once he has all these pieces, he's going to be able to create a device that will change the world so that these people will no longer be considered freaks. They will receive compensation. And some of the words he uses, some of it sounds good. It's like, you're just going to be equals. You'll be seen. You know, people aren't going to treat you like freaks. It sounds good, but then when he says things like compensation, some other things, it's like, that doesn't sound good for the rest of the world. And so we follow the troupe, and our mainish character is Octoman, who is a young man who has basically boneless forearms without fingers or anything, so it looks like he has tentacles. He actually glues suction cups to his arms to give him that octopus look. And there's a young woman, Ginger, who's an aerialist, trapeze artist. They sort of come together, and meanwhile traveling the country, going to these different stops, finding these different devices. And I gave this, you know what? I just finished it. And I think I gave it 4 out of 5 on Goodreads. It's very entertaining. I like the characters. I like the story. It's, again, as always, I say this every time, it's F. Paul Wilson, so you know it's well written. Excuse me. And it's quite interesting. The different places they go, the different oddities, freaks. I hate using those terms, but that's what they're called in the book. The different characters are good. I like them. They're well written. And it does tie in to the secret history of the world. We're going to get to that in a minute. So, for the review part, 4 out of 5 stars for Peabody, the Peabody Ozymandias Traveling Circus and Oddity Emporium by F. Paul Wilson. Oh, and it can stand alone, completely on its own. Ish, for the most part. 95% stands on its own. But there you go. Try not to cover that long title. All right, so that's that. That's the review part. Let's get into how it ties into the secret history of the world. First of all, we will look at the timeline. We are still in year 0 minus 1. And the last book that I read in this series was The Void Protocol, which took place in September of year 0 minus 1. And the Peabody Ozymandias Traveling Circus and Oddity Emporium ends in September of year 0 minus 1. It basically encompasses a year of them traveling the country, and then it ends in September. The next book that I'm going to be reading is The Last Christmas, and that is the last story that takes place in year 0 minus 1. We're coming up fast on year 0. So, I think the biggest thing here that connects this to the secret history is there's a lot of talk of the otherness. This is where we're going to get into spoilers for the book, but the whole point of this device that Ozymandias is trying to put back together is it is going to tear open the veil between our world and the otherness and let the otherness in. There is one little sort of Easter egg that I spotted simply because I've been reading these books now a little more quickly. And so when Ozzy sends our main guy, I want to say his name is David, our Octomon, George, wow, I wasn't even close. George, our Octoman, they send him and another guy, Bramble, to find one of these pieces, and on their way there, they pass Toad Hall, which is the name of the place in The Touch, which I just read recently. So that's a nice little Easter egg that also ties things together a little bit. There may be things that I missed, little tie-ins, little Easter eggs that I didn't catch, but like there's some old books that Ozymandias has. Maybe they've been mentioned in some of the other stories and I've forgotten them. I can't say, but it does. Again, there's so much talk about the otherness and the veil between worlds and letting the otherness in that absolutely ties it into the secret history. And as I said in the last video where I was talking about the Void Protocol, and I probably said it when I was talking about The Touch before that, I wonder how, if and how and when all of this is going to come together in Night World, the last book in the secret history. Is Ozymandias going to show up again? Or any of these characters? Oh, there's a little stinger at the end of this book. Is that going to come up again in the secret history? Something I found, let's see, is this the one? No, so it must have been in the Void Protocol, which just happens to still be right over here. Something I noticed in the Void Protocol, it has a list of the timeline. And this one, the list in the Void Protocol, actually puts, I guess it doesn't really matter. It puts the Peabody, Ozymandias, Traveling Circus, and Oddity Emporium. It's listed before the Void Protocol. I don't know why it's switched in this one. I would guess because this takes place throughout the year and just ends in September, where this takes place in September. Just interesting to me that the two titles got flipped in the timeline in the book that I'm using for my official timeline. Not that it matters. Either way, just a little something. A little something I thought I'd share. All right, so I think that's all I have to say about the Peabody, Ozymandias, Traveling Circus, and Oddity Emporium by F. Paul Wilson. This is the... Let's see, let's check my list. This is the 21st book. Actually, I'm not sure about my list here. It's either the 20 or 21st book that I read. I can't remember if my list is the book numbers or the video numbers, and there's an introductory video where I don't talk about the book. Either way, there are 6 books left for me to read in this series. And I'm flying right along at this point, reading one every other book or every third book, because it's all coming together, and I don't want to forget previous things. It's bad enough that I am gonna forget previous things, even when I read the books so closely together. Anyway, that's all I've got for you for the Peabody the Peabody, Ozymandias, Traveling Circus, and Oddity Emporium. No questions in this series of videos, so if you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post spoiler warning. We try to be polite here on my channel. Please like, share, and subscribe. All the usual YouTube stuff. If you care to follow me on other social media, as of this recording, on Twitter, I am at Ronan5757. On Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, fuzzy animals, it's Eric Smith5757. That's Eric with a K, ERIKSMITH 5757. And if you're on Blue Sky, I am at EL Smith. That's all I've got for you. Yeah, that's all I have for you this time. So until next time, read more books.